Welcome to the latest episode of the Indoencers Podcast. Today we have someone who has become an icon in the Tamil music space over the past several years. He started off as a keyboardist in one of India's top metal bands nearly 20 years ago, then became a producer and programmer that has helped bring to life many of our favorite albums since the 2010s. Now he leads the Tamil hip-hop revolution with his own independent label called Atti Culture. Through this label, he has discovered and nurtured artists like Asal Kolar, Arivu, Keliti, and most recently Vasi, among many others. To talk about his journey till date and his latest release titled Kadesate, I'm so happy to be joined by producer, music director, singer, entrepreneur, and so much more, the one and only oFRo. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on.
Thank you very much. Oh my God, that was that was a cool intro. Thank you very much for that.
I mean, even that intro was missing quite a bit. Like, I was wondering, where do I fit, like, Madras Mayday and stuff like that in there? And I was like, you know what? Let's keep it short and we'll dive into it. We have, like, an hour to sort
it
of
was
get into
perfect.
everything.
Yeah.
So what I like to do is start from the very beginning. So, take us right back to your earliest days and sort of walk the steps that you've been on to see, how you got to where you are today. So
Mhm.
going back to the very beginning, I usually start by asking guests about their earliest memories in music. And you actually said in another interview a little bit about your earliest memory where your dad played the cassette of Kadalan and when
Yeah, oh my
Urusi
God.
Urusi came on.
How do you know all that?
I have my
Okay.
sources.
Why did I?
But I
Yeah.
love that story, like
Yes,
parents
I remember it, vividly. Yeah.
put on the Urusi song and
Yeah.
they were like, "Is this what the kids are listening to nowadays?"
Yeah.
Because it's very reminiscent to, I think, the conversations that you hear nowadays as
Correct.
the music landscape is changing.
Correct.
But I
Correct.
bring that story up just to ask you about, what
Yeah.
was the music that you were listening to during your earliest days, and what was the music that was resonating most with you on an
At
emotional level as well?
Right. At an early stage, before I began seeking out music, it was what everybody around me was listening to, which is mostly like, Ilayaraja, A.R. Rahman. There was lots of Deva. And then there was also the Michael Jackson and ABBA and all of those things. So I guess like when I started seeking out music, like one of the earliest, if not probably the earliest record that I actually actively went and purchased was probably Eminem's, no, it was Michael Jackson Dangerous.
Oh, okay.
And then probably a few years later, it was Eminem's Marshall Mathers LP. But those were kind of my early in school kind of, and I remember when we were in school, it was the beginning of like Napster and LimeWire and early torrent days. So we were able to like listen to so much music from around the world for the first time without having to go buy it, which was, yeah. And so those were my early influences. Eventually, once I finished school, I had like a classic rock phase that became something else and then something else. And then it became electronic. And somehow I found myself back to hip hop.
Yeah, and it's interesting you talk about all this because when we listen to your music today, something that you emphasize as well in your music is that it's different, it's unique, and it brings in, a lot of different sort of unique influences. But when we look at the start of your formal education, as I understand it, you started just with Western classical piano,
That's right.
which is
Yeah.
very antithetical to, the music that you do today.
It's
Um,
not, I actually wouldn't think so. I think
okay.
it's quite, I think there's lots of similarities. Because, like, because all music is kind of designed to make people feel a certain way.
Mm.
And when I hear like different genres of music, I'm only really thinking like what in this music is making people tick. So in that sense, classical music has something in it that keeps you engaged throughout because it's like arrangement. So you just take only that part out of it and like you kind of take another part out of folk music and things like that. Yeah.
So you think even in your music today, like
Yeah.
there's an aspect of those sort of influences that you had from your early days that's sort of coming out in the music you make today as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Like
Mm.
100%. In many ways, I would say like the fundamental core of the way that I arrange these songs have been derived from what I've heard probably in like the 2000s or the 90s and 2000s,
Mm,
basically.
mm.
Yeah, and those have also been like derived from what they heard in the 80s and
Yeah.
so on and so on, you know. So I can see this. I can see the commonalities in all music and how how just balancing the different variables in it changes the aesthetic and how that sort of reacts differently with the human emotion. And it's been a study because I listen to so many different styles of music. It's like nice to kind of correlate that with humans.
On that note, something that interests me and, that may relate to the stories of other musicians that I've spoken to is, you're of the Christian faith and you go to church regularly. And a lot of Christian musicians talk about the role of, I can see your face sort of making an expression there, but I'll finish my question anyways. A lot of musicians talk about the role of church music in their development and how much that shaped. But you're shaking your head.
No, no, no. It's okay. I mean, go on, go on.
No, no, I was just,
You're asking me how much the role of like church has like the role church has played in my music.
yeah,
It's in
yeah.
a tremendous way. Like for a start, I was really encouraged to listen to music. I
Hmm.
mean, nobody kind of forced me to listen to music. I wanted to listen to it myself, but nobody ever stopped me from listening to music. Like. To be entirely honest, like there were a lot of people around my parents who would tell them to not let me listen to this or that, and or not to read this because this is evil and that and this, etc., etc. But my parents were like pretty chill about it, so I basically got access to like everything to sort of just like consume, I suppose. Yeah, so I guess that's been the biggest influence on my life, like this freedom to like just go through like any genres. I've always been kind of like genre acoustic, you know.
Hmm.
See, genre agnostic. I've always been able to be like that. I think eh, I think that's also maybe because I've been hearing music from like a really young age. Uh, I've kind of yeah. It's not like I don't know if that answered the question.
I guess
Is it
to an
like a
extent. So, I mean, the question was about church, but was it, maybe something you took from church that sort of gave you the freedom to explore or things like that?
No, I wouldn't say it's so much church as much as it was my family.
Mm.
Yeah, there was church around it, but there
Yeah.
was also like my home, and there was
Right.
also like my my cousins, and there
Mm.
was like it's been more of that, like and less of church, because there were so many people who would go to church who weren't
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
who music didn't influence as much as it did me.
Mm, mm.
It's because I come from this really weird family. It's so weird. My mother's side family, where there's a bunch of cousins and my uncles and aunts and everything. And for some weird reason, everybody knows every lyric in Sound of Music. And
Okay.
so when everyone hangs out, someone starts singing, and then somebody joins in, and before you know it, by the end of the song, everyone's singing parts. Yeah. So,
I'm
so it's
actually
like, I
curious.
guess
With
I
regards
don't
to
know.
your
I don't. Yeah.
family,
Yes. Yes.
um, I noticed. I think was it the credits of Dore sleeping? Like,
Yeah.
there's a credit
That's my
there saying
mom.
like additional vocals of oFRo's
Yeah.
mom and sister. I'm just
That's
curious. Like, is anybody in your family like musicians or coming
yeah.
from like a music background or anything like that?
Yes. In my immediate family, I have musicians, and in my other family, I also have there's musicians. Yeah. So of all of them are musicians. Yeah.
So I
They're
guess
all
that, yeah.
like I guess like either they're like music creators or music critics. There's
Oh,
nobody in the family who's kind of not connected to music in some way, you know. That's not to say like they're like industry people or anything. It's just the music in my family. I would reckon music is the primary form of entertainment consumption for them, and like that's my parents and also my uncles and aunts and cousins and all of them. For all of us, like music is like a big part of our sort of upbringing.
So I guess, like, would you ever, given that you said that music was your primary form of entertainment as a family, like, would you sit as a family and like listen to albums and things like that as well?
No, no, no. They
Mm.
listen to like what they want to listen to, and we listen to whatever we want to listen to.
Fair
But
enough.
when we all get together and hang out, then we sing the songs that we all know together,
Right.
which is like most likely old songs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. And talking
It's
about
not like we're having like Kanye just dropped an album. Ma, come sit here. Let's have a listening session. It's not that.
fair enough. So I guess, talking about your interest in music, you've mentioned in a previous interview that it's roughly around like your early teens where you sort of decided that music would play a central role in your life, and you thought you wanted to do music. And you also mentioned this story with Iman sir in
Hmm.
like when you were in eighth grade or something.
Hmm.
He gave a presentation or something like that, and that really like opened your eyes in terms of music production. But I'm just curious to
Absolutely.
know, like, where was your curiosity with regards to music taking you, as you were exploring different genres and starting to explore production and things like that as well?
So when I was like, since I was a kid, like I've seen studios like a lot,
Mhm.
and so I always saw this person rock up with like a CRT monitor, and a keyboard, and they all came in all these cool cases, and there was this old like um a, Alesis or Akai or
Uh-huh.
one of these like drum program
Yep.
sequencing machines. And so I didn't know what they did. They looked so cool, and I just wanted that. And then eventually I figured out that, okay, the people who do that end up making these beats and making these songs, but I didn't know how it was done, because there was no YouTube videos or any, you just had to figure it out on your own or read a manual or something, right? I remember when I was in eighth standard, there was this science exhibition or something in school, and one of the rooms there was this projector where Iman was projecting Cubase on the wall and explaining how like music is sequenced and turned into a thing. I think it was like a 10-minute thing that he kept doing all day. I saw that and I was like, oh my god, that's what they do with that thing. Oh. And so that's how I guess I got into it that way.
So was it like that night, you went and tried to rip off a version of Cubase or something like that, or was it more of a
No,
gradual
it
thing?
was it was definitely not that very night. I uh, I deliberated on it a lot because I didn't have a computer
Okay,
basically.
fair enough. Right.
Or rather, I think I did have one and it was not good enough to have like whatever. So I had to get another one. And so it used to be really difficult. I remember we had to like load a patch, and then you listen to it and you're like, oh, okay, not this one. And then you go next patch and it loads for like 4 minutes. And so you gotta like wait, you take a break, you get on the phone, like, and then you come back and it's loaded and you listen to it and you're like, oh, no, 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 next.
Now we just go tuck 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 tuck. Nope, not this,
Yeah,
not this, not this.
yeah. Yeah, now we're like spoilt with options.
But I guess that's a training of itself, right? Like when you're
It is.
limited in options,
Yeah,
then you have to
yeah,
work with what you got. So
correct,
I guess that forces you to take action in a way
correct.
where we don't do nowadays.
That's what I do on every song. Like before we begin, we set like limitations, and so like then like what to do
Hmm.
basically. Yeah.
When you say limitations, like what kind of limitations are you talking about? Are you talking about like sound or more like just length or like
So it's aesthetic limitations and human emotional limitations. So like aesthetic limitations for a song like Vetrivel would be that like I should only use tawil, pambai, those kind of instruments. Aesthetic would be like uh, that the lyrics should be devotional only. Emotional is like the boy feeling that angle is the emotional part of it. The feeling the devotion is also the emotional part of it. So these are the sort of the main criterias that I look out for when I'm making like a song. I set these limitations, and then we like keep making until it fits into that limitation.
So is this something that you would like? So you mentioned Vetrivel, which is a song with
Hmm.
Keliti. Like, would you tell Keliti, like, as soon as you decide to make like a devotional song
Yeah,
devoted to like Murgar, like as soon as you decide that, you're like, okay, Keliti, like we're only doing this within this box? Or is it
correct.
something that's a bit more like, okay, what should our limitations be, kind of thing?
No, so we'll discuss about the limitations, like what should our what can we do next,
Mhm,
this and that, and then so like I kept thinking about it, and like I felt like okay, maybe this is what we should do next, and then we're kind of like like it's easy to set these limitations, but to make it work when you hear it is the challenge.
mm,
So then the rest of it is like either like, oh, it's not feeling devotional enough, or oh, this is not like this is going out of the limitations and this.
mm,
So you kind of have to work to find a balance that fits inside this limitation. So the limitations are actually really helpful to create something that's like really like the juice or the essence of what you are trying to communicate.
It makes sure that there's a through line throughout the whole song, that it's all
Correct.
connected.
Exactly. Exactly. Or you could like make a song like Jortale or Katmele or
Yeah.
something, which is just like whatever, like it doesn't you need to fit into a thing. Yeah.
But I guess in that case, like the limitation is of a different nature, right? Where you're like,
Correct.
we're going to rip this out. I remember
Yeah.
Jotale, like you mentioned in a previous interview, that like you just did it in 1 hour. So that's kind of
Yeah.
a limitation of its own, right? Where it's like whatever comes to us
Yeah.
instinctually, that's
Correct.
what's coming out.
Correct. That's the limitation for that. Yes. Which is doesn't really feel like a limitation.
I guess that's the beauty of flow state, isn't it?
Yeah.
Comes out and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, this is kind of good. Let's go for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. That's that flow state music.
Yeah, so sort of going back to what we're talking about, and looking at your musical journey, I think things really kicked off in college because you really got into this sort of band culture, right?
Yeah.
And you first or I guess the main band you were part of was Nerve Wreck, but I heard that you were part of several bands. Like, how did that sort of enter your life?
The band thing sort of accidentally. I don't think I mean, because since like I was a kid, I used to play piano. So I naturally, other people in school found out I play piano. And then when there was some piano requirement or keyboard requirement, I was called.
Mm.
And then we sort of accidentally won some prize at something.
I think you're
And
underselling things a little bit. You don't
yeah, then suddenly
accident.
like I'm like, could it be? Yeah. And then then we went to some other things, and then we kept winning and winning, and then I was like, oh my god, this is it. This is gonna be my life. I'm going to be a rock star. And then literally like 30 seconds later, the band broke up and everything came crashing down. Yeah, reality. Yeah, it was, yeah, it was a wild time. It was good fun. That's how I got into it,
Mm.
basically. That's how I got into this like band scene. And then when even in college, like there was a requirement for it. So I sort of kind of got into it. And when the band broke up is when when started feeling like, okay, I need to figure out how to make all this by myself without anybody else. Yeah, so that's how I got into production.
I think the story you're talking about the band breaking up, and you've mentioned previously that it was it's typical band story, right? Two people
Yeah,
start fighting, or some ego clash or something like that, and then the band breaks up. We've all been through it. But I
yeah.
think especially now, since so much of your job or your role is collaboration and getting people to work with each other, I'm sure that must have been a bit of a learning lesson in terms of like how to navigate human relationships in a musical or creative context, right? Or not so much?
Uh During the time I was with the band, I don't think I did much learning on how to manage humans. But on this job of working with rappers,
Mm.
yeah, I definitely learned that. Yeah. I was way too young at that time to like sort of grasp
Mm.
the to even grasp what we were doing. We were just like young kids having fun, and then like yeah, later it all became like work and structure.
But I mean, things became quite serious even with
Yeah,
like Nerve Wreck, right? Like you were opening for
yeah,
Iron Maiden and all. Like
correct, correct,
so it
correct,
wasn't
correct.
just like a couple of kids playing around. Like it
No,
was
it was
okay.
absolutely a couple of kids playing around. It had like nobody like we didn't have like a vision or a like, this is what we're going to do.
Oh,
It was literally like every day we wake up, we rehearse, we are the greatest band on earth. That's it. There's like no real deep thinking there. There was no like roadmap. There was nothing. It was just, and we kind of accidentally like, we were good. We were a very good band, no doubt, but like, we kind of like whatever. The opening for Iron Maiden happened because we won like a campus rock idols.
right.
Yeah, so it was all over India, and then we played at different places, and eventually we played at Delhi, and the judge was Vishal Dadlani. So crazy! I met him years later. All of those. Yeah, it's been a wild ride. That band side of things are pretty crazy.
I can imagine. And I also heard something quite interesting about this phase of time, which is that you were actually quite, set on doing a career in advertising. And so you actually
Oh
worked
yeah.
at an advertising agency for like 2 months or something, and then
Yeah, I did
decided it
like
wasn't for you.
yeah, exactly. Like yeah, that in a way what I'm doing right now is advertising,
Fair enough.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
makes sense.
that's kind of what I learned, or rather what my brain has always been thinking of how to like communicate like messages through music or song or media and stuff like that. So yeah, I just realized I didn't want to do it for like shampoos and deodorants unless it was like a like endorsement deal.
Yeah, 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 fair enough. Makes sense. And then, I think a big jump you made in music was when you went to Australia, right?
Mhm.
And, you studied at SAE, I think?
Yeah, I studied at
And
SAE.
same as Santosh Narayanan, albeit a few
He
years apart,
Yes,
but
yes,
same
yes,
place. So
yes.
I'm interested in this
Oh,
decision to go to Australia.
yeah.
What
I
brought you
mean,
there?
man, honestly, I knew I was going to make music for a really long time. Around 2008, I think, is when I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. But like, I was so bad at it. I was not good at it. And the only way you could learn is like if somebody else showed you how to do it. So I remember becoming an assistant to this other senior programmer in the industry. So my job would be to like, I'd get like 200 rupees a day to go to his house in the morning and pack his stuff into his like Maruti Omni, and then like drive him to the studio and then unpack and set up the whole thing. And then he will sit there and he'll program, and one full 8-hour call sheet will happen. And when that is over, you pack up everything, put it back to his house and unpack, put it in his house, and then you go home. I did this so that I could like learn something from that guy, but
Mm,
like very soon I couldn't learn much from there. Then I started like traveling to meet other producers and learning from them and all that. Eventually, I basically knew I had to like just spend time making music
mm.
and learning. So at that point, like um, yeah, I remember telling my parents I want to do this, and they were just so sad and disappointed that, like, yeah, it's ironically,
Wait, why is
it's
that? You
like,
said they were really supportive of your music journey.
yeah, but they were quite suddenly in a twist of fate, like unexpected. My parents just suddenly decided, like, wait, what's wrong? Why do you want to do this? Like, why can't you just do advertising? All your life, you've been saying you want to do advertising, and now you're like saying you want to do music. Because, like, there was no real roadmap to
Mm,
music.
mm.
But later, I knew, I finally saw it in my head, like, this is the roadmap. And I needed to, make music for a while to, like, learn and all that. So that's how I landed up in Australia. So I went and took, like, a student loan, and it took me a long time to pay off almost twice the amount of the loan. It was like the best days of my life. the most impactful learning time of my life, but also like crazy, like debt, and went into had to do some crazy work and jobs and things like that to make this all work out. But in the end, it all worked out. So happy ending.
If anyone needs an experienced watchman or a carpenter, you know who to
Yeah,
call. If listeners
yeah,
want an idea of the jobs you had to take up.
yeah. I had to do like a lot of jobs, and like I always had my friend Tejas with me, and Tejas is a music producer in Bombay right now, and
This
he does some
Tejas
really
Nair.
Tejas
Same
Nair.
group. Okay,
Yes,
okay. Yeah.
yes, yes. So I met him in Australia, and so all these jobs we used to do them together. So it was like still a little bit more fun, and it's so cool to even see after all these years he's also still doing the same thing. Like we both were kind of like onto it. Like this is what we're gonna do. Yeah.
When you say that Australia was a big learning curve for you and it was some of the most impactful learning that you had, like what like was it like theoretical knowledge or was it like historical knowledge or technical knowledge? Like what
It
was it that
was
you were learning?
so what I learned in Australia is like production techniques,
Mm.
genre aesthetics, stuff like that. Because I would like sit with different producers, and each one is from a different country, and so they come with from different cultures. And so, like, someone's making ambient electronic, someone's making like techno from Brazil, someone else is doing something else and something else. So each time I go sit with somebody else, I am seeing why they choose those kicks and why they use these effects and why they arrange in these sequences, because they come from a different culture. They come from a subculture within a different culture. And so all of these things are that I think was the biggest learning around that time. And it was also around the same time when the internet was beginning to like take off. So that collided with like YouTube learning and things like that. Like, yeah, then it really took off from there.
And I think a lot of the influences that you were getting during this time turned into sources of experimentation for you too as well, right?
Co- Correct, correct. I was just making wild, weird music. Like you can't even listen to it. Like I recently connected my 2009 hard drive just to see like, you know, oh, so bad.
We get pretty close to that on your SoundCloud. So I took a little sift through.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think
Some of them I've just left it there as a reminder to myself to be like, you suck.
no, it's a reminder of your growth, right?
Correct, 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 correct,
Because
correct.
I
I
think
listen
like
to
yeah. Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry.
I listen to my like older releases and I cringe all the time. Yeah.
No, but I think even there, like you could see a lot of the experimentation that you were talking about, right? I
Correct.
remember there was this one track called like smooth jazz with 808s or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, okay,
There's this
there's
song.
room to go in the quality, but like this is cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So now when I make a song, that's how my scratch would sound.
Ah, okay.
So then when I get into production, it starts becoming more dense and detailed
Mm.
and yeah.
When you say scratch, like
Yeah.
what does a scratch for you often look like? Because I've heard like some people say like it's noodling on a piano or guitar. Some people it's like a voice memo. Some people, could be like a beat or something like that, especially in the hip hop world. Like what does a scratch look like for you?
For me, the a scratch is like a little. It's like a audio file
Yeah.
that is just made for me to remember
Mm.
where I'm going with this.
Right.
Finally, it's like a sequence of like it's a collection of placeholders that tell me like rhythm, groove information, and like sort of scale and key information and melodic information to be like, okay, this is what we're trying to, this is the outline of what we're eventually going to end up with.
Mm-mm.
And so usually when I work with directors, between us, we'll have like this scratch that is like an understanding of, okay, so this is an early version of like what if you listen to like a scratch of like an old song,
Yeah.
maybe something that you've already heard, if you went to the scratch version one of that, it'll like you'll understand, oh, okay, that this eventually evolved into this, you know.
But I guess you'd need to, if you're sharing it with like a director, for example, you'd need
Mhm.
to build it up at least enough for the director, like a an outside person, to understand what's going on in your head, right?
Yeah, absolutely,
Mm.
absolutely. But that also kind of changes from director to director. Like for example, like when I work with Ken, for
Mhm.
example, he because we've been working together for so long, I think like for us the scratch starts before the audio file. Like we just get on a sort of one line starting point, and then it only we develop it in our heads, and before we put it on like the computer, it's already quite a well developed idea in the head.
So when you're saying like a well-developed idea, are you thinking in technical terms? Because I know he's a musician as well, on top of being a director. Are you talking on like a technical level, as in like this is what the key is going to be, or this is roughly like the tempo range, or are you
No,
talking
not
more
on a
on a all right,
more on a conceptual
right?
or like or how it's going to connect level.
Mm, mm,
Like if we did this, then it'll connect.
mm,
And
mm,
then
mm,
you're
mm.
like, okay, but how do we do this? How do we do? Oh, we can do this to get this, and this to get this, and then we put it together so that it becomes this. So the idea kind of forms in our head. So now when we visit the music element of it,
Mm.
we have the option of running this idea through different styles of music
Mm.
before we decide, okay, this music and this idea matches, and then we go. So but that's like the liberty I take with Ken also, because like we really connect on a deep level when it comes to music. But it's not always the same when you work with like some other people. Like you give them a more finished idea so they can kind of yeah, also get it. Yeah.
With Ken, since especially like if you're working on a project for Atti Culture, since you're sort of headlining the music work and he's sort of headlining the video work,
Yeah.
does the video discussion also start quite early on when you're discussing, that what during the initial discussion stage?
Not always, but often.
Okay.
Like when we were making Olalai,
Mhm.
that whole thing about following the dog and Keliti, and that was discussed before the song was finished writing.
Mm.
So at an early scratch stage, we had already discussed that. And then I went and I made the song sort of with those visuals in my mind. So yeah, it came together that way. And even for some other songs, it was like that, but that wasn't always the case.
Mm.
Sometimes for Jortala, we just made a song, we put it out, it blew up, and then
Yeah, yeah.
almost a year later, or maybe more than a year
Mm.
later, we made a music video for that
Mm.
song.
So I guess in the case of songs like Olele, if you have had some discussions on like what will happen in the video, then that might play into your production decisions because you might be seeing the video in your head as you're producing, perhaps?
Yes,
Mm.
yes, because like that's how we work in cinema,
Right, fair.
right? Like we, even if there's no actual visuals, there's an idea of what the visuals are going to be.
Mm.
So when I'm writing an indie song, I kind of visualize what the video is going to be, and eventually hope we make that video. We never do, but yeah, it's a great. A video is like a great way to inspire some music. You know.
For sure. And, since we're talking about, videos and film, when you came back from Australia, you jumped straight into the film music world. And I
Yeah.
read that you were working with Haris Gerard Sir for a couple of years. And you've
Yeah.
talked about, how working with him taught you a lot about, how he sort of packaged his music in order to cater it for like a Tamil music audience and things like that as well. Can you tell me a little bit about what the experience was like working with him and what your learnings were, both musically and commercially as well?
Yeah. From a music production angle, I learned how to. I learned how like what's enough. Like
Mm.
you don't need to keep adding and adding. Like this is enough. Like I came from a school of production where for whatever reason, in order to have a kick drum in a song, we'll have like a bottom kick drum and then like another one and then like just the top from something else and then because like electronic music we had to be all like geeky about it and then when I come here I can just see it's just like boom one and then this it's like I realized that like sound is kind of more important than like what you actually did the end result, like listening to the end result. The way started listening to the end result changed.
Mm.
Also, I met some really cool people when I worked there, like Jim Satya,
Mm.
even Devi Suresh, who's also Sarah Black.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, her dad.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I met all of these like OGs in Harris's studio, and I learned a lot from them. And they used to keep giving me like loops and samples and contact libraries and all these things. So all those things were like super helpful for me to kind of start getting into this this Tamil cinema sound palette.
Mm. Yeah, that's something I noticed, not in all, but in some of your productions, especially the ones coming through Atti Culture, like, you don't necessarily go all out on in terms of layering, right? Like, it's
Yeah,
like, we're going to talk about Kadesate in a bit, which is your latest release, but it's literally there's, like, some synth bass, there's folk percussion, and the vocals, and
yeah,
that kind of fills up the whole sound. It's like you
yeah.
don't need pads or, some fancy drum kit below. Like just, keep it to the basics. And I think that's sort of coming from Hadis's school of thinking,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, definitely. And also I would say it's not just Harris, it's also that like hip hop production and
Mm,
things like that. It's like the importance of keeping it like minimal
mm,
is something is also my taste. I like to listen to stuff that's like a bit more clean, and all the biggest records are like minimal. So I just want to like make Indian music that's like as minimal as any music around the world.
mm. Yeah, I think like every time I talk to a producer or a composer, I think that's always a journey people go on because when you first start out, filling up the sound makes it sound better in an amateurish stage
Correct,
because you're still not mature enough to make the apt production choices. So you just sort of make up for
correct,
it with layering. But over
correct.
time, you sort of learn what to prioritize.
Exactly. Like at some point, I basically stopped thinking about music like music and started thinking more about the listener. And then the music just became a way to speak to the listener.
Interesting. How do you listen to music as a listener when you're also spending so much time on the other end? Like, how
I'm
do you
I,
switch that
I'm not
brain?
spending
Yeah.
so much time on the other end anymore.
Okay.
I've spent a lot of
Yeah,
time
yeah,
on the
yeah.
other end. Now I spend more time with people,
Right.
just trying to like understand people. And I also like, yeah, that's it. I'm just trying to understand people, and I guess if you just understand a person, like if I understand my mother, I am able to write songs that will make my mother feel, and that applies to anybody and not just your mother. If you can understand someone and then you're able to, it's literally like a sales job, right? Like they tell you sell this pen,
Yeah.
and then if you instead of like straight up starting to sell this pen, you kind of have to learn something about the consumer to then flip it back on them, right? That applies in it, like in my music as well.
Mm-hmm.
I figured like a lot of people feel like it's not cool to believe in God, so I thought like then like I believe in God and I know like Keliti does. So that's something we both align on. So I thought, okay, let's make like a song that like young people can like celebrate with God.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's interesting. And I
And
guess
that's
like
how the song was born.
right,
Basically.
right. So I guess going back to the limitation that we are talking about before, the borders are drawn through the
Correct.
discussions that you have with people and the ideas
Correct.
that they give you. So is there like do you take like conscious time or effort to like just say, you know what, I've done a lot of music or we have some projects coming up, like I need to refresh my brain and just get people's input. And then, you know, with that in mind, you just go out and talk to random people. Is that something that you consciously try to do just to
Uh,
refresh your perspectives and things like that?
in a way, I do that.
Mm.
So this is not so much about like, okay, I need to make a political song, so now I need to go speak to a bunch of political heads.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That it's not one of those type of situations. It's more about just being aware of empathy during everyday activities.
Mm,
And through that you kind of like connect, you have these small learnings, and like it keeps you kind of grounded. And also I listen to like a lot of really influential music. And why I'm calling it influential music is because that music has an influence on the listeners.
mm,
So that when I listen to that music, I begin to understand why this music influences the listeners, because it's not just music. There's also this like cultural layer, there is an emotional layer, there is a psychological layer. All of these things like coming together in the form of like music and lyrics create such a deep impact on the listener. And and through that I'm always searching for these moments that can create a deep impact in the listener.
mm.
And when I find those moments, I work backwards and make them into the music language.
Mm, mm, mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, 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 it does, it does. And I guess like because, you know, sort of now going into like some of the collaborations that you do, you know, which is so much of what you do at Atti Culture as well. I've sort of heard that a lot of these collaborations and like the way they come about is with you almost acting like a therapist and sort of really chopping away at the artist and understanding where they're coming from and
Yeah.
you know what's on their mind and sort of what their life background is like. So I
Yeah.
guess maybe there's a sort of connection process that happens at some point where you're taking the ideas that have really spoken to people, you know,
Yes.
using like the influential music you were talking about, and sort of connecting it with, okay, how could this idea or one of these ideas connect with this artist's context or background?
Correct.
Right.
Exactly.
That's fascinating.
Exactly.
How do you go about these discussions? I'm really like interested to know. Like, okay, like Keliti or Asakolar or somebody
Yeah.
walks into the studio.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do? Like, I'm pretty sure you're not like, okay, like what are the top three most traumatic things that you want to rate about? Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's not that.
yeah,
Uh, it's I mean, I guess like what the most common thing we would discuss is like how to take over the world with music. That's probably like the most common thing we discuss. So we're like, oh, we can do this, we can do that, we can do that, blah 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 blah.
Wait, I'm
In
interested in that. Like, what do you mean by
No,
take
it's
over the
like it's
world
just
with?
everybody has like it's not really a world domination plan.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just like a plan to kind of like make it, you
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
So we all kind of discuss this plan that we use, that we're going to execute or whatever. But somehow in the middle of that plan, what ends up happening is like we feel this energy in the room where everyone wants to, like, there is a creative energy in the room, and in the middle of that creative energy we discover moments. It could be like a joke, it could be a joke, it could be something that makes us like shocked or whatever, right? And then we hold that one moment, and then we juice that moment until it turns into like a song. So an example of that juice or that moment is finding crafting that one line that I need to make a Murugar song, but without losing our kind of aesthetic. It needs to be devotional, but it also needs to be us.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So once we found that one line, then we're all excited about that one line,
Mm.
and then it's like months of work.
So I'm interested how this process might differ from artist to artist. So you described a little bit about Vetrivel, right? Which is,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the song about Murugar and you know how you sort of came with that idea and built a song based on that. You also mentioned like, you know, how you might build a song based on something that shocks you. And the first sort of songs that came to my mind when you were mentioning that were the songs of Terukural
Mm-hmm.
with Arriva, because there's a lot of sort of songs and you know descriptions about you know political incidents or you know sort of tragedies that happened during that time. Is that something that would just sort of spontaneously come up in your discussions with Arriva as well, or would he come to you being like, you know, this tragedy has impacted me so much, let's write about it?
Yeah, it would be in Adiva's case, it would be mostly him coming to me with like it would be like, so I am kind of like letting him take the lead of
Okay.
like, how are you feeling today? Oh, so today this is what's like on your mind. Let's like put that together.
Mm.
That was the approach I took with Arive. Um, but with Asal, Keleti, I think it's a little bit. With each one, it's like a different like strategy
Yeah.
going in, because it's also important for me to like make each of these artists distinct from each other. So then that means like the strategy or the design philosophy for each of them have to also change.
So I guess maybe because also you're coming at this from the discovery stage, right? Like a lot of the
Correct.
artists that you're working with, you're sort of, you know, almost literally picking them off the streets and sort of pulling into your studio. So at the point where you're looking for artists, like what are you looking for in terms of like what stands out to you? Like what are the sort of features which would speak to you most and be like, oh, this is something I could work with, or that is something I could work with?
Yeah, I guess like this, the most important thing is like how distinct they are, how
Mm,
unique they are. If they have like, yeah, it's something that I feel in like a few seconds of like listening to them or whatever.
mm, mm,
If I feel it in that moment, I just kind of like go with my gut and then work with them. Yeah, really, that's it. Like, and then because everybody, I believe everybody on some level has talent. Some can sing better, some have better rhythmic skills, some will find better words. So there's really no one way to like define who's like great at
mm.
what. So that one thing that I kind of look out for is like, are they unique? And perhaps like the second most important thing is, do they want this basically?
Mm.
If they want it and they're unique, then it's just a matter of, yeah, going through this process with them. Because like every artist needs an infrastructure, a kind of ecosystem for them to thrive. And I believe I can like provide that ecosystem to any artist who I feel who I believe like has the chance to like, really make an impact.
Mm. You mentioned something there which is interesting, like if they want it.
Yeah.
If they want what?
If they want whatever they're going to get out of like hard work and deliberation.
So in terms of like what they're getting, is that like, are you thinking of it from a professional context in terms of like, oh, do they want to go into this as a career, or are you thinking of it more
No,
like
absolutely
artistically?
career.
Mm,
No, I definitely think career, because like I don't intend to work with anybody who's doing this part time.
mm,
If you're in it full time, then that gives me the confidence to also uh put my time into it.
mm, mm. And you've also spoken about, you know, how with every person you work with, you also want them to give something to you, right? And how
Yes,
it's sort of a two-way street there. Like, how do
yes.
you know if someone has something to give to you? And like, what do you
You do.
want in return?
No, you don't like. So when I usually say that,
Mm,
the reason why I say it, the context with which what I say that is basically, there's a few different things that you need to be able to do
Mhm.
in order to like get this so-called like market penetration or whatever,
Mm.
whatever. One, your product has to be kick-ass.
Yeah.
Your performance has to be kick-ass. Your branding has to be kick-ass. Your promotions have to be kick-ass. And you can't like sort of compromise on any of this. So when you have to, can you like just remind me what you asked again? I
Oh no,
don't
I was just
digress.
wondering the two-way street, like what you're
Correct.
looking for in return. Yeah.
Correct. So, one of the most important things for an artist to be able to develop is you're going to have to put a team around you.
Mm.
You need a set of people who will have to come on board and support your artistic vision. And if you have to, so there is a human resources aspect to this. So, it is important that you know how to like cut a deal with the person. Like if I am able to talk to an artist, when I go to an artist and I talk to them, I first offer them what I can do for them,
Mm.
right? That helps me, then find a way for both of us to work together. But a lot of people have not been like aware that this is how they should follow it. They would just approach you and be, நீங்க எனக்கு ஒரு பாட்டு பண்ணி தாங்க. And I'll be like, why? இல்ல நீங்க எனக்கு ஒரு பாட்டு பண்ணி தரணும். Why? So I think it's important as artists to think about the listener or whoever you're servicing. Like, I think to be human is to be of service. So if you are only thinking about yourself, you're not. You're probably going to. I don't think your art will even come out if you're only
Mm.
thinking about yourself.
Mm.
I think for your art to be able to come out and flourish, you need to think the about other people, and your art needs to go talk to other people and make them feel a certain way. Sorry for that rant.
No, no, no. That's really interesting because the point you mentioned at the beginning, how it's important for an artist to build a team around them, to build
Correct.
a sort of a support system, I guess, in a sense, of people who can help them on their journey and who believe them
Yes.
on their journey. I think that's a journey you've been on as well, because as
Yes,
somebody
absolutely.
who's like a pioneer in
Yeah.
terms of building this movement, I'm pretty sure it must have been quite difficult to get people on board with your vision of what you want to do, right?
It's not that difficult for me because I know how to convince you.
Okay.
You know, it's that simple. Like
Huh.
I'm talking to, if I talk to an artist, I'm like, hey, is this what you want to do? Do you want all these things in the future? Then simple. This is what you got to do. Do you want to do all this? Do you have the commitment to do all these things? It's not going to be easy. You're going to be broke. You're going to be doing all of those things. But if you have the commitment to do all of these things, it's almost inevitable that you will find that success.
Mm, mm, mm.
Everybody needs like mentorship, because there is like a lot, like there's a lot of things and then there's a lot of things you don't know, and there's also a bunch of things you don't know. That's why you need mentors
Mm.
to like get you past all the barriers that you don't even know are going to come, yeah, I
What
had some great mentors, so like, yeah, it
I was
helped
just
me.
about to ask, like when
Yeah.
you were first entering this, like who were the people that were giving you the support and mentorship?
Like my father gave me like great mentorship in my early days. But then also people like Imman or Santosh Narayanan, or and even all the people as I worked around me, like I had people like Tenma, I had people like Jim Satya, all of these people along the way who have just like for no reason been helpful to me. Like I've never had to go ask for like favors or anything like that. They just kind of like been like, supportive, which I believe is the reason why I know something that would have otherwise taken me like years to figure out.
Mm.
It's because like some of these like really cool tricks were revealed to me by some of my friends who've been doing this like for 20 years, which is what I kind of do now to like a Keliti or anyone else.
I love how you mentioned Santosh Narayan right now. I think he's been a big sort of part of your journey, especially in the past, 6, 7 years or so. And I'm
Mhm.
especially interested because I interviewed Aditya Ravindran like literally last month, who's a
Okay, cool.
close collaborator. with
Nice.
Santosh Narayanan as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was talking about how, like, just like casual Santosh Narayanan is throughout the
Yeah.
whole like music making process, and he'll never sort of, you know, theorize things too much. He'll just sort of go with the flow. But then once in a while, he'll just sort of casually drop this gem in terms of advice and things like that. And what Aditya told me was that Santosh once told him that that music should be made horizontally. You should think of music horizontally and not vertically.
Yeah.
If you think of it vertically just in terms of one section and you just start building the layers, then you will get stuck. But
Yeah.
if you're aware of the overall journey,
Yeah.
then the vertical aspects will sort of come in naturally.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious, because I just talked to him, I want to share that. But I'm
Yeah.
curious to know,
No,
like, what
that's
have your learnings
that
been? Yeah.
particular advice is kick-ass advice because like a lot of music producers they'll get stuck with 16 bars. They don't know how to like take the song to the end,
Mm,
and that's where arrangement comes in. The way you arrange a song defines how long you can keep the song interesting.
mm,
I remember I used to arrange my songs vertically, and I could never finish a song
mm,
until somebody told me this. And then I realized, oh, okay. So I started making these scratches, which is basically just tells me how the arrangement is going to change over the next 2.5 minutes. And then you kind of work like section.
mm,
Yeah, like he's definitely right about like how when you go work with Sana, it doesn't feel like work in that like you'll enter his house and then you'll talk something and then upday you'll eat one ice cream and then like something you'll watch some cricket and then you'll make some song on the side and then something and before you know it the song is over basically. And you spent like 6 hours just like cruising through just like life, and somehow there is a song now at the end of it. That's a very cool thing. The other cool thing is also like 99.9% of the times I hang out with him, we don't talk about music at all. That 0.1% when we do talk about music, he'll drop some gem. He'll be like, just mute this. And I will like, yes. Yeah, so he's definitely like a big influence and help and support and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I wanted to pick up on something you said earlier on as well. And when we're talking about, this sort of two-way street, you mentioned the idea of a product, right? And
Yes.
that's a interesting phrasing because we often don't think of our music as products. But I think so much of your job, especially, once you started leading Atti Culture, is you have to think of, the projects you're working on as products because you need to think about how you're going to sell and market them. And the reason why I'm providing this context is because I heard in an interview of yours, obviously, like many people would call you a producer, but I think many people would take a very narrow definition of producer as, just a beat maker or someone that
Mm,
that does the arrangements. But you gave this definition, which I thought was really interesting. And, you defined a producer as someone who creates a product that finds market fit.
hmm
I thought that was a very, like, broad definition,
hmm
which sort of
But
incorporates
it's
a lot of.
specific. It's
Yeah,
it's not broad. It's very specific.
true. I use the word broad just to say that it incorporates a lot of smaller jobs inside it.
Correct. Correct.
Right? So,
Yes.
because we only think of it as, maybe one of those jobs or two of those jobs, like, what is the process like when you're working in terms of your definition of a producer? Like, what else are you doing besides just, producing the beat?
I'm not I am produce sometimes I'm producing the beat. Sometimes I'm just like laying down melodies. Sometimes I'm doing different things. Sometimes I'm just doing vocal tuning.
Mm,
Sometimes I'm just doing pocketing the rhythms and the bass. I'm doing different things at different times. But at all times there's only one thing that I'm doing. I'm at all times I'm kind of detached from the song, just listening to it as sort of emulating what sound it would sound like to someone who's hearing it for the first time. I keep switching my brain into that like listener mode every time while I'm making it, to keep checking if like, hey, is this still fresh? Is it still cool? Is it still like engaging? Does it sound like a song? Is it flowing? All of those things. If it's not, then what's the problem? Oh, here there's the pocketing is the issue. Oh, here the beats are not like knocking. So then you kind of go into that role and you do all those things. But the main job here is to create like a product that has like a USP, and it finds like a market fit, and it sort of markets itself. Yeah.
And I also heard that, when you're planning out future releases, like you're often sort of reflecting on how previous, songs have
Hmm.
performed, and sort of using that data to build on, what you might do in the future, which is, a very like business sort of minded way of thinking of it. Like,
Hmm.
but I'm just curious to know, like, what is that process like? So let's say, I don't know, like a Olele does well, it gets 4 or 5 million views. Like, how are you taking that information to guide your next steps?
Like, it's not so much about how many views it makes.
Okay, fair enough.
It's more about like, if I speak about this thing, how many people does it connect to? Or
Ah,
rather, and that does, and the reason why I said it's not about how many views it makes, because some topics you speak about, like OLLA, you speak about topics like that, and there's like a market cap on the number of people who'd be interested in a topic like that.
hmm, 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 hmm,
And I still want to make that,
hmm.
because like I want to like find my way to like speak to different small groups of pockets and niches that I'm able to. It's just my trip. But why do I do it? I don't know why I do it. It's just
That's all
my trip.
musicians.
Like,
We all want to do weird things. That's the point of
yeah,
our
so
existence.
it's for me, it's like just like so interesting to be able to like make different types of music that speaks to people in a different way. Like when you make like a Jortale or a Katamele, it's just like this mad love and crazy like fans. But then when you write a song like Olele, people are writing essays to you, like how they felt, all the childhood trauma that they're feeling, they start writing to you. And uh, so they're all like different kind of audiences. When I worked with Ariba, it's a different audience. Like, with each person, it's like a different audience. And now when I'm working with Vasi, it's like another completely different audience. But it feels like it's brought in a new kind of audience to this independent music.
You mentioned Vasi, so let's get into it. At the time of recording, I think 4 days ago, if my math is correct,
Yeah,
Karesate released, which is the debut song of your latest sort of artist on your roster, Vasi.
yeah.
Tell me a little bit about, how did you get to know Vasi, and what about him caught your attention?
Well, I use so I do this thing called, so can you see my logo there? It says like
Yes.
Atti Culture,
Yep.
and then next to Atti Culture it says multiculture.
Multiculture. Yeah.
So what multiculture basically is like, it's we do like events and contests and things like that, where we're able to like identify music producers and rappers and writers, people like that. So through my last activation, we found many cool, talented, artists and stuff. And Vasi was the winner, and he got voted by public, and we had a jury and everything. And so basically, he won the contest. It's been a year since that, and I've been like on and off with him on the phone. Generally, like, songs. I think he sent me a song earlier, and I heard it. It's on his Instagram. I was like, okay, it's a good song, but I still didn't like see that thing that like I told you, in a few seconds I feel it. I didn't feel that yet. It wasn't until like maybe about 2 months ago when again I got in touch with him, and then when we connected, he showed me this song. Like, it had a different hook before. It was a little different before. He showed me this song, and I switched. I basically had a conversation about it with him, told him like how it needs to be unique, and that it shouldn't have like words that we've heard before.
Mm-mm.
It needs to be more unique to him and things like that. So then he wrote something else and he brought it to me, and I liked that. And that turned into this song, and then we put a video around it, and that's what we've released right now. So that's how I met Siva, who
Mm.
we thought the name Siva was a bit too generic for an artist, so we changed it to Asi. Depending on how big he gets, he can always change it back to Siva.
Yes, I think it is a rule of thumb that everyone on your roster needs to have an unusual name.
Yeah.
There's
Yes.
that is a rule. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and that sounds really cool. It was really cool seeing Santosh Narenser's comment on that, where he was like, "Jortale, you've had your time. Now this can take over." And I love
Yeah.
that because I think it captures a lot of that same sort of raw energy.
Yeah.
That Jortale did.
Yeah.
When it's only been a few days since it's been out, but what have you observed about how people have received it and enjoyed it?
Usually, usually like when a song blows up, the first symptom is everybody is just positive and supportive,
Yeah.
and then it reaches a new group of people where all the hate comments start coming in. That's when you really know it's like getting there. And then it reaches a group of people who don't care. They're just there for the song, and then they'll change. They most likely won't remember whose song it is or anything. So we're in the first hype cycle of
Okay.
the song. We'll see if it gets to the second one. Yeah.
In terms of you, because you mentioned just right now that he came to you with the idea roughly 2 months ago, and that
Yeah.
seems like a really quick turnaround for it to
Yeah,
start.
because like songs like this are fairly quicker to make. It's only when we like have to dive into like a very emotional subject
Mm,
that it takes time,
right.
basically. Well, songs like Olalai, songs like Vetri Veil, where the limitations are like, we have like strict limitations, and we've set some really strict standards for ourselves, and it's quite frustrating that each time we try and we don't get that, and then next time we come back and we keep trying and we keep trying till yeah, it's a bit of a frustrating process, but and then so finally when we make all that and then when we release it and it gets like barely gets any views, but everybody who hears it is like, oh my God, it's the greatest song I've ever heard. It really puts you in a confused spot. Should I keep making this emotionally rich, artistically rich music, or should I just keep making bangers? Because what am I supposed to do? Because streaming, like for artists who mostly just live on streaming money, you need, if you get like 2,000 streams, that's like 50 rupees or something like that.
Yeah, pretty much.
So it doesn't make like any sense. So I have been finding ways to connect directly with artists. It's something fairly new that we're trying. I have this thing called atti.biz. I've left it on like my YouTube description of like the new song. Basically, it's a way for you to go and buy the song directly with UPI and things like that. Because that goes straight to the artist. It helps us like recover costs, and basically more than recovering costs, it basically gives us this satisfaction or this comfort that hey, there's actually people out there who care,
Mm.
and that like music passion is not like a one-way street. It's like the audience feels it on the artist as well. Because you always hear about like passionate artists, but what about the passionate audience? There's like a lot of passionate audience. I am a passionate audience myself. Like I bought a bunch of like records and paraphernalia of like artists that I love because you can even be passionate. You can feel passionately towards art.
Do you think we have that, environment right now where people are passionate towards, the art itself? And the reason why I ask this is because you hear so much chatter about, oh, how music is being dumbed down now and it's all about, reels and you have to catch people's attention in 10 seconds and, that makes people value music less. And like you hear this kind of
Correct.
chatter. What have you observed in terms of the audience and how they respond to the music that you're working on?
That's what, like I said, it's true. It's like if everything comes down to like how you can just grab someone's attention and make like brain rot content, if everything like comes down to that, it's just really sad because like there's so much like great music out there, and it's just such a shame to I think it should I think we should not, as like a society or consumers or whatever, we should not discourage an artist who wants to make like non-popular music. But it happens every day and it's sad. And like I, for one, I'm one of those few artists who've managed to make a living out of this. But that's only because like I know this very well, and so I keep it balanced. But even I have felt this, like where like I still feel like songs like Fancy Store or Olelai or Agaya Tamare or Tamilachi. These are all songs that are like everyone who has heard these songs always come back to me and like have a conversation with me about it, or they it makes them feel. Yet like those conversations are the only thing that actually keeps me wanting to like, make more of those.
Mm.
Other than that, it doesn't generate more opportunities or bring in like pays you or anything like that. But I'll keep doing it because it makes me happy. I feel like it still keeps me on the edge, like where I want to make like emotionally driven music.
Yeah, I remember you were telling this story about how like a young girl just ran up to you randomly on the street after
Mm,
listening to Olele. Like I think
correct.
those are very unique experiences that only come with certain types of music, right?
Yes, also scary. Yeah. Yeah,
Fair enough.
you're walking on the road and you're like, wow. But yeah, no, those see, that's why I said it's like the it's not the number of views that matter.
Mm.
It's who's viewing that matters.
Right.
And there's all kinds of like I used to make all kinds of music, and as I'm getting older and as I keep making more music, I'm beginning to realize that I have a sense of responsibility towards the kind of stuff that I put out, and there's like all kinds of people like listening to it. And yeah, so
Yeah, and you're talking about, the sense of responsibility for what you put out, and you're leading this sort of revolution through Atti Culture. And I think now we're really entering a really interesting stage in Tamil music and especially in independent music as it's finding more sort of it's finding its place outside the borders of Tamil Nadu as well. Of course, like Santosh Narayan collaborated with Ed Sheeran, and Sai
hmm
Bianca's music is traveling worldwide. And, even in Kadesat, there's that line where Vasi says, like, mainstream le yarangi map le para pa," so you can see, his vision of going borderless as well.
correct.
I'm curious to know, like, from your perspective, like, where do you see Tamil music fitting into the global picture, both in the present and in the future?
Tamil music, I feel, has like all the parts required to like um excite a global music audience.
Mm,
It's got hip, cool beats. It's rich melodies. Diverse, like the rich traditions. Like how many hundreds of years of music tradition we have. It really now only comes down to how good the artist and uh, how prolific are our artists and how supportive are our audiences.
mm,
It really only comes down to these two things. In the last 3 years, I've seen a lot of attention come towards independent music. Just in the last 1 month, we've had songs like Pavaramalli, Vari Vari,
yeah.
Kadaya Sathe,
Mhm.
and then Ice Boy,
Ah, yeah.
and
Asad
then
song.
yes, Keliti put out the song called Cuckoo,
Yeah.
and I believe Wahi said released an album or something like that. And so there's like, and this is all in 1 month. This is like 6 independent songs have released in a matter of 3-4 weeks, and I can't think of any major other releases that came this month. So I feel like, yeah, we need more of that, like way more artists, way more technicians, way better directors, way better costumes. We need better labels, better infrastructure. When all of these things start like coming together, then my vision will be fulfilled.
Mm,
Because like everything I'm doing to put together this label, to bring together these artists, everything is like a proof of concept to just prove that, hey, this is interesting, guys. There is something going here that is far more like artistically rich than what you get in the slop out there. I'm sorry to sound so crude, but really, I feel that inside, and I've all felt it for 10 years.
mm.
And so, this everything you're seeing here is just proof of concept that this works, so that like more people believe in this and they come into this, and that's the only way we're going to like sort of build this out into like and sort of populate our playlists with this sort of stuff. Yeah.
Do you think in the music world there are still doubters, like people who think, "Oh,
Oh yeah,
what you're doing," and like
absolutely.
really even
Yeah,
now?
yeah. Oh, you mean me?
No, no, no. Like in terms of the work you're doing, like are there
Do
people around you, like in the music world or even in
who
the
doubt the music that I make?
yeah, or the
Not really.
okay,
I mean, when it comes to me right now, I think there is like a sort of a feeling that like, okay, hey, if he likes it, then it probably works.
okay.
And so that's like a nice thing for me.
Ah,
But even with me, like people come to me because somebody has told them like, hey, if you go to this guy, he's going to give you something new.
ah.
And so they come to me and then I give them something new. And then they're like, oh, is it new? Yeah. I'm like, yeah, it is. Then they're like, oh, but maybe we should make it a little old. And I'm like, I don't know about that. But regardless, I still try to do that.
Mm, mm, mm,
And sometimes accidentally we arrive at like something even better.
mm, mm,
And then sometimes it's just not good.
mm, mm.
So I don't now I don't have that problem of like I mean needing to convince someone so much. But what happens is that it's this independent music is still like a very early
Yeah.
days of independent music. We still, as an independent music community, we still need to churn out like a bunch of hit songs every year. Every hit song, regardless of who the artist is, wherever they come from, whatever, whoever they are, every artist that becomes successful in independent music is somehow contributing, is a net positive to the entire scene growing. So I'm kind of rooting for everyone to like win in some way, keep learning and keep like developing quicker and quicker and quicker. And we are getting quicker. I
Mm.
remember 3 years ago there was maybe two or three songs releasing a year. Today we have 6 songs in 1 month.
Yeah, and I think the path forward is for that number to increase and for the quality of those releases to
Correct.
increase as well. So that's really exciting. And speaking of the future, and sort of bringing this podcast to a close, like what's in store for you in the future? What can we look forward to?
I'm working on one of like the coolest projects I've worked on.
Okay.
It's Ken's first movie, and Ken is
Hi.
like my longtime collaborator, co-founder of Atti Culture. His contributions to independent music are have been immense. For years, he's an expert in music videos. So now when we both get to work on a film with like real budgets and actors and all of those things, when we're able to work on that, we kind of like sync in on the album.
Mm.
It's so awesome because we are like all usually we make singles, and this is the first time for me I'm making an album with Ken, which is super exciting because I know what on day one we knew what first song is and second song is and third song is and fourth song is and fifth song is. And so we're now just like chipping away at each song, trying to get the best version of each. And the entire process is fulfilling, and yeah, it's like full circle for us. And I'm like very excited for Ken because I've been like a Ken fan from like day one. So that's what I'm most excited about in the coming months. Yeah.
Amazing. And yeah, that is really exciting to hear about Ken's movie. So looking forward to that. And we have a tradition on this podcast, and we end each episode with the exact same question. So I ask every guest the same question to close off the podcast, and that is, what's on your playlist?
What is on my playlist?
You can do a sneaky shout out for any releases you want people to hear.
Well, what's on my playlist? Random songs, man. Like I'm
That's
listening to
what
something
makes this
called.
even more interesting. Give us the random.
Well, the last song I heard literally right before this call is a song called Kadal Bodai by Kenny Angelo and Richard Raj. Do you know this song?
I don't know the song, but I've heard of like
Which
Richard Raj. That name sounds
okay.
familiar.
Okay, I know because like I'm in the middle of this remix competition that I'm doing.
Yeah.
And a bunch of producers have like sent me remixes of one of my songs, Aga Tamara. And one of the songs that really stood out to me was this electronic music producer duo called 5050. And that's Kenny Angelo and Richard Raj.
Oh, okay.
And I just, when I spoke to them earlier, and so they showed me this song. So I was like listening to that song. So I'd love to give them a shout out because they're very good producers themselves. Other than that, what am I listening to? I've been listening to a lot of Bully.
Mhm.
And you said you live in Tokyo, and I've always known that there is like that Kanye is heavily inspired from a lot of Tokyo, and even Bully's album artwork and a lot of the symbols that he's used and everything have been inspired, or rather, the designer itself is a Japanese designer.
Really
Yeah,
interesting.
he's very connected to this whole. So it makes me so curious like that. Okay, so you were born and raised in Tokyo, so you speak like, yeah,
Correct. I speak fluent Japanese. Yes.
wow. Well, when we close the interview, I want you to close it in Japanese. Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Okay. And
はい、本日は、お時間いただき本当にありがとうございました。そして、ご視聴いただいた皆さん最後まで、お聞きいただき本当にありがとうございます。まだ、オフロさんの曲聞いたことない、アーティカルチャーの曲聞いたことない、いや、オフロさんの SNS まだフォローしてないという方がいましたら、概要欄にリンクを貼ってますので、ぜひ今すぐチェックしてみてください。改めてオフロさん、本日は本当にありがとうございました。Well, that was oFRo on our 33rd episode of the Indoencers Podcast, and thank you to everyone that has tuned in. You can find us at the Indoencers on all the usual social platforms, or you can use the links in the description. Make sure to subscribe to the Indoencers Podcast on all your favorite podcasting platforms for more conversations with artists in and around India. Thank you once again, and we'll see you next time.